And from the top of West Mountain in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Good morning, everybody. This is 94.3 FM, the Talk of Sanity Check. Libertarian Lou, Tea Party Mike. X is on the line. We got Frank Sorick in studio, and we're back. No more happy music time there, Mr. Sorick.
No more putting us to sleep.
No more putting us to sleep. So if you want to call in, you want to blow off a little steam, you want to start this weekend off right, that number is 888-577-4487. 888-577-4487. Good morning, Michael.
Morning, Lou. We got a couple things going on here. We're down to $1.99 for regular gasoline. So
Well,
that's all good stuff. You're a little higher because of those extra taxes.
I was just ready to
Hang
jump
up
in
on him
that.
already. That's it. Sorry, Michael. We just lost you. Next caller.
But second of all, which is really interesting, Lou, you know how we always talk about you have to, verify your facts. But, I didn't know, Lou, that, Noah, the guy that built the ark.
Yeah.
He was actually created by aliens. Did you know that?
Michael, we got to fill in the background a little bit. And actually, that's one of my...
Can't even trust the Bible anymore.
Well, part of what we... No, you know what happened, Frank? Me and Michael were talking this weekend, and we started talking about the History Channel, right, Michael? And that's one of the things that you're bringing up, right, is the History Channel.
Yes, that is correct.
So you're telling me that the History Channel said that Noah was dropped here by aliens?
Well, it's certainly...
Pretty sure I saw that episode of Star Trek somewhere.
It actually gets a little better than that, because what happens, according to some of the experts on the History Channel, Frank, that the regular humans were flawed in their DNA, so the aliens had to destroy them because they created them to begin with. And then Noah looked a little different, acted a little different, saw things a little different because he was recreated. So they had to get rid of all the other masses so that Noah and his family could now share their DNA and have a better human race.
And what better way to do that than a big flood?
Well, no, it actually wasn't a flood. It was a tsunami.
Oh, even better.
But, Michael, one of the things that we did talk about, and certainly, I would love to encourage folks to call in about their maybe New Year's resolutions, or maybe, resolutions are not really my thing, but certainly some of the goals for the new year. But, Mike, how we got into this conversation, Frank, about the whole History Channel and all these other things, the more I start reading things, and me and Mike got into watching the History Channel, or over the weekend I got to watching about Luther and Calvinism, and having grown up with a Catholic education, I mentioned to Michael, I said, geez, a lot of the things they're telling me is not what I kind of read in the history books, and one of the things, Michael, is that the more I have gotten into this whole muckraker Independent Gazette thing, and the more I learn, the more I realize a lot of the stuff more stuff that I don't know, and I really am going to be in search of the truth, and it's something that we've been looking for or talking about for a very long period of time. Certainly I have, but one of the things one of my goals is to continue to read more books and try to just learn or try to understand what's went on in our history as best as we can, because history, of course, is always written by the winners. So you never know. I mean, so what is the real history? What's the real truth? And anyway, we're just kind of filling in a little bit here with our listeners and letting them know how we got on this conversation of aliens and all these other good things right off the bat.
I Googled Noah and alien, and right away Wikipedia comes up, the mystery files of Shelby Woo. So I'm sure you can trust Shelby Woo. I mean.
So anyway, if you want to call in, tell us what your New Year's resolutions are, or what your goals are. How about you guys? I mean, would you have anything set for the New Year's, or hoping to do certain things?
I live in Wilkes-Barre. A lot of drinking, a lot of shooting. The normal.
Wait a minute. Michael, you know as well as I do, we don't set this stuff up prior, but you did throw me a little bit of a softball here. And one of the things, Michael, that I am going to invest in this year is my health, and certainly I started doing that, and I'll fill that in a little bit longer, or in a couple weeks exactly what I'm working on. But certainly doing some of this homeopathic stuff. I'm trying to learn more stuff about alternative type medicines and all those things. But anyway, Michael, one of the things that I am doing is trying to increase the whole brain thing. I don't know if anybody's out there has done anything. You certainly hear about brain boosting and all those other stuff. So anyway, I'm looking at that. Okay, I'm getting a little older, and looking at all those things. So one of the people that I'm working with, and we're not going to go into it all right now, but it has to do with feeling better and looking at my weight thing and and certainly the stuff with the brain and one of the things that came up, you guys are going to love this thing, right? So one of the things that came up is the dopamines and all this stuff, and when you're lacking certain things in the brain, which all makes sense to me, right? That you have a lot of addictions, and if you could help with that, or at least increase the dopamines in the brain, it certainly seems that makes a lot of sense, that you wouldn't have certain these addictions. So here we're talking about this stuff and said, well, yeah, that's why people are addicted to drinking or pornography or gambling and all those things. And I said, whoa, wait, stop right here. Wait a minute. I says, are you telling me that if I go through this program, I will not be addicted to booze, sex, and gambling anymore? And I says, we got to stop this right here, right now. So I says, well, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. I know David Madeira's out there. There you go again with the libertarian stuff, the freewheeling. But anyway, so
well, you must be one of those that escaped the flood, Lou.
It was a tsunami.
It's the tsunami. Wait a minute.
The tsunami, exactly.
But just getting back to this stuff. Well, I just mentioned David and stuff like that, and certainly we have some differences, perhaps on certain these issues. But the one thing, Michael, we do agree on is the Constitution, and we do have a framework of living within the Constitution, and certainly. As we move forward, we have to continue to push that too, Michael, and make sure that our representatives are following the Constitution. By the way,
they don't even know how to read it.
Well, by the way, and I know this is another softball to myself, is anybody going to Senator Baker swearing in, please? I'll
be swearing there.
I went to Google that yesterday, Michael, but if one of our listeners are out there, can you please at least show up and make sure we're using the Bible to swear in on, or take a picture, or let me know. Perhaps maybe they'll let the muckrakers in for that picture. And
they're having a swearing at party.
I'm there.
So I know some of our listeners. I can see them now turning the radio dial. Oh, I can't stand these guys. But once again, we have to. We do have to. I guess keep the pedal to the metal and making sure that we do stay on all these individuals and certainly our representatives, Michael, to make sure that they're doing what they're swearing in to do.
Well, you are, and there's so many things I think, and part of the things that we're making fun of what we heard on the History Channel, but it just goes to show, Lou, that we've got to really check the facts ourselves. I just thought
exactly
looked at that. And thought, okay, the left says that. Well, I shouldn't say the left, but there are some on the left that say that there is no creator, and yet we're supposed to accept the fact that aliens created us. So somebody created us. That's the bottom line. But I just look at some of the vulnerable minds who really don't. They'll look at that and say, "Oh, we're created from aliens," and leave it at that. So we always have to, no matter who's telling us, we've got to check the facts, Lou. I mean, including ourselves.
And we love it when folks do bring us the facts, and we don't mind, making those corrections. But I think it goes back to the whole idea, Michael. The more I dig into things, really, the more I realize how uninformed I really am. I mean, it just totally amazes me. And I'm reading stuff and saying, how is this happening? Or how come I didn't hear about this? Or I don't remember reading it about in the history books when we still had history books in the schools, because I have no idea what kind of history is being taught, certainly with what's going on now with Common Core and all these other things. But, it's one definitely needs to be a little vigilant.
Well, very vigilant, I think. And when we look at what, again, our educational process, Lou, and that, we've unfortunately wasted so much time, I think, reading lies that we really have, the truth have escaped us in so many parts of our life. So we do have to continue to, as you say, be vigilant on what we're reading and then check it out, Lou. And it's simple as that. But most of our culture won't do that. My son is addicted to YouTube. You talk about addiction; he must have a dopamine issue. But he'll come in and tell me, "Did you know so and so did this?" I said, "Complete lie." And then I'll sit him down and explain it to him. But what's very interesting is that how many of our children are exposed to these things every day and never have a discussion about them. And so that's really what's molding our children, which in a sense is molding our culture, Lou. So that's why, though I believe the internet is an awesome thing and it should continue to stay the way it is, we have to, as parents, have to be aware of what our children are watching and what they're listening to.
They can't put anything on the internet that's not true.
You're listening to Sanity. Check the number here is 888-577-4487, 888-577-4487 if you want to join in the conversation. Michael, you just brought up a little bit about the YouTube things, and one of the things that I had printed out for us possibly to get to today was something that was sent to me via Facebook. And let me just read a little bit about this. And you guys could jump in on at this at any time. But it says, congratulations. Maybe you guys saw this. Congratulations to all born in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. I think that that's all of us for sure. First, it says, you survived being born to mothers who smoke and or drank while they carried us. They took aspirin, they ate blue cheese dressing, tuna from a tin, and they didn't get tested for diabetes. Then after all that trauma, Michael, after all that before you were actually born, then after all that drama, your baby cots were covered with bright-colored lead-based paints. You had no child-proof lids or medicine bottles. I don't remember that growing up. Doors or cabinets. Or when you rode your bikes, you had no helmets, not to mention the risks that you took hitchhiking. I remember hitchhiking all over the place. When I went to a private high school, and Michael, and they had no bus service after hours and playing sports and all that stuff. So I would take the train, the Long Island Railroad, to the closest town that I lived in, and from there I would hitchhike home. But yeah, there was no well, when you did hitchhike, it was no big deal. As children, you would ride in cars with no seatbelts or airbags. Riding in the back of a van loose was always great fun. You drank water from a garden hose pipe and not from a bottle. You shared one soft drink with 4 friends from one bottle, and no one actually died from this. You ate cakes, white bread and real butter, and drank pop. Pop, Michael, as you know, is soda here back east, but back west, people call it pop, with sugar in it, and you weren't overweight because you were always outside playing. You would leave home in the morning and play all day, and as long as we're back when the street lights came on, no one said much. No one was able to reach you all day long, and Michael, we were okay. We all made it through. You would spend hours building your go-karts out of scraps and then ride down a hill, only to find out that you forgot the brakes. After running into the bushes a few times, you learned to solve the problem. You did not have the PlayStations, Nintendos, Xboxes, video games, no 99 channels on cable, no videotape movies, no surround sound, no mobile phones, no text messaging, no personal computers, no internet or internet chat rooms. You had friends. And you went outside and you found them, right, Michael? You fell out of trees, you got cut, you broke bones and teeth, and there were no lawsuits from these accidents when you played with worms. Well, most boys played with worms and mud pies made from dirt, and the worms did not live in us forever. You made up games with sticks and tennis balls, and although you were told it would happen, you did not poke anybody's eyes out, correct? You rode bikes, and you walked to a friend's house, and you actually knocked on their door for them to come out. This one I love, Michael. Local teams, I remember this, I swear to God, because I played sports. Local teams had tryouts, and not everyone made the team.
That is true.
Those who didn't had to learn to deal with disappointment. Imagine that. The idea of a parent bailing you out if broke the law was unheard of. They actually sided with the law. This generation, us, has produced some of the best risk takers, problem solvers, and inventors yet. The past 50 years have been an explosion of innovation and new ideas. You had freedom, Michael. We had failure. We had success and responsibility, and you learned how to deal with it. and all of you are one of them. Congratulations. You might want to share this with others who have had the luck to grow up as kids before the lawyers and government regulated our lives for our own good. And while you're at it, forward it to your kids so they know how brave their parents were. I did, Michael, and my kids forwarded on to my grandparents. We're taking a break. We'll be back. Sanity check.
There's Sanity Check. Saturday mornings, 94.3 FM, The Talker.
We were a city on a hill, a candle in the dark. It started long ago. Now we have come so far. We keep our faith when there's no way out. When there's little hope, we show no doubt. We go the distance, no matter how far. Oh,
Remember who we are. That's what we're doing here on 94.3 FM, The Talk of Sanity Check, Libertarian Lou, Tea Party Mike. We got X, we got Frank. Michael, Krista Branch, one of the goals this year is doing another Restoring Freedoms. That's in the works. We're starting to work on that. And actually looking forward to that, Michael. That was a good event we put on. We didn't maybe market it the way we should have. And we're certainly going to market it and certainly learn from our mistakes. But I'm looking forward to doing that again, Michael.
Well, it's always exciting, Lou, if you can get a group of people together who, and hopefully not just a group of like-minded, those folks who maybe aren't quite buying any of the points of view that we might be talking about, and come in and see what it's all about. And that's what I think is really important, is that we're able to attract folks, not just what people would be expecting us to attract. So, and I think that's what the Independent Gazette does also, Lou.
Yeah, and actually, I'm thinking here too, Michael. Our reach is way bigger than we had just started here. I don't even know if we had our first edition of the Independent Gazette out. John D over here is shaking his head no, and I believe he's absolutely correct. So certainly we have a lot more of reach, and certainly as long as we keep those goals in mind to. Just let people know not only who we are and where we come from, but what freedom was like, perhaps. And there's some great groups out there. Frank, you were talking a little bit, how Grandma was so strict, and you had a point. Go ahead.
That was my daughter who I was explaining to her some of what you read in that email, Lou, is that we didn't have cell phones growing up, and explaining that if you went out to play for the day, if you didn't check in, your parents couldn't reach you. They had
to wait.
Well, they had to wait or call your friends and ask, is Johnny home? Is Frank over there? That type of thing. And she said, after fully explaining how it worked back then, she said, now I understand why Grandma's so strict. She had to wait all day to rip you a new one. She couldn't just call you up and demand you home.
Good morning, X. Let's bring X on here. X, we're talking a little bit about the way things used to be. Not that they were... I was listening to one of the other radio stations late night, and they were talking about the good old days. And he said, tell me something good about the good old days. I don't remember anything good about the good old days. Good morning, X.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We're doing good.
I would probably say the good old days was when the country didn't face an obesity epidemic of gigantic proportions.
Uh-huh.
It's a, if you want to look at the big picture here, the new numbers are 1/3 of the country is obese, 1/3 is overweight, and 1/3 is normal. And normal means you have a 50-50 chance of dying of some sort of heart-related disease, stroke, heart attack, and so forth. So it's an interesting thing, like what's happened to us as a society that we've basically made it so that people, or life expectancy might actually reverse itself, and the next generation will die at an earlier rate rather than an older one.
Perhaps the food, certainly what's in the food. We talk about certainly GMOs, Monsanto, all those things. And we need to spend a little bit more time on that, Michael, too. But then once again, too, X, you grew up, you're not, I guess you are a little bit, maybe a decade or two younger than I am. But, certainly, you remember just going outside and playing and just that exercise in itself. Now everybody's jumping on the treadmills. Before that, you either walked or hopped on the bicycle, or you're outside playing. I think just that. I don't know how we change those trends. That's for sure.
Yeah, you came from a time when boys who were active weren't given Ritalin to tone them down. They were given a bat and a ball and play on the field.
and you came home with a lump on your head. That's what would happen. And we didn't have to be worried about being sent off to CYS or CPS and then knocking on your front door saying, you're getting abused, for goodness sakes.
Well, it's funny, Lou, and actually talk about obesity, and my son gets so mad because if we go to McDonald's, which you know how horrid that food could be, I won't go through the drive-thru. I said, if you're going to eat all that fat, you have to just walk to the store.
Oh boy! Now there's another trend. There's a New Year's resolution for some folks out there.
No drive-thru.
No more drive-thru.
No more drive-thru. At least you're going to have to hop out.
That's it. I'll waddle into McDonald's from now on.
Well, Lou, one of the things that's going to come up is a lot of people are going to start their diets. This is the most common.
I just talked about that. That's right.
Yeah, and this is the best tip I can ever give anyone. Whatever you want to weigh, multiply it times 10, and that's the maximum amount of calories you should eat in a day. So if you're a man and you want to weigh 200 pounds, you cannot consume more than 2,000 calories. If you're a woman and you want to weigh 100, you can't consume more than
He's killing me. Does that mean no more burgers and beer for Lou or what?
No. I mean, you can have them. The only difference is just
have to run 3 hours a day.
And a shake, you're done for the day.
That's it.
Done for the day.
I'm going to have to cut my Twinkie consumption.
Well, good. Well, good. Hey, over the holidays, certainly, and we're still in the holiday season, but we're sitting around the table there, Christmas Eve, and we had a big Christmas Eve celebration, Michael, as we kind of mentioned. Oh no, actually, we didn't even talk much about this last week because we were playing nice music and putting Frank to sleep, but. Certainly what is nice about getting together with family and friends and all that stuff, we do talk about a lot of things that have happened. And one of the first things that was said, especially every time I show up, no politics, Lou, where do I talk about? And then I'm the only one not talking politics. I mean, I'm the one that's just...
You're the only one not talking.
Wait a minute, what has happened here? But one of the things that came up, and see where you guys would go with this, certainly in New York, they had just approved more casinos up there, right? And there was mixed feelings around the Christmas table there, and some folks are saying, "Oh, no more casinos. We've had enough casinos. The gambling's no good." Blah blah blah. Other ones saying, "Who cares? Spend your own money the way you want to spend it." And that, Michael, that was pretty much the conversation that was going on until I had to jump in. Okay, I had to throw my 2 cents in there, and really, what this all was once again about was the free market. And I'm saying, wait, some of you guys are saying you don't want casinos, the other one's saying they do want casinos. I said, can you really legislate morality? Which I don't feel you can, or you should be legislating morality if you feel as though gambling is part of the morality issue. But one of the things that I brought up was why is government choosing winners and losers? You mean the guys that get the licenses, they're the ones that just really grease the wheels. So is this what it's all about? Do we have like a gambling zone in New York that the only ones allowed to get the licenses in the gambling zone are the ones that are connected and paid? Or should it be free market? And, I'll throw that up to you guys. Go ahead.
Look here in Pennsylvania, and I mean, you can see the casinos that have opened here. Our first casino, Mohegan Sun. Shortly after that, Uncle Louie gets a casino. I mean, certainly, these are not connected people in any fashion, right? These are just normal, everyday billionaires who received their licenses to open a casino.
And that was my point, Michael and X, and jumping in, because then I think of the smaller bars. I think of Sidelines out in Factoryville with Gary out there, and certainly he's a regular caller, and other individuals. For people that have been in Nevada, and I'm not suggesting this is the way it needs to be here, but they're all over. You go into the food market. You go anywhere. If somebody wants a 7-Elevens. Everybody have stuff around. It doesn't seem, like if we're going to have gambling, then why not? Let's have it. I mean, if we could have that argument. We could have that argument amongst the people, the public, and saying, wait a minute, but why not? Why is it limited only to the special few that could pay the favors, which we're going to get into about paying favors when we talk about Cromnibus here in a little bit. But, what do you guys think? I mean, just by able to change the argument or change the conversation, let the free market. Why is government once again picking winners and losers? And I think by changing the dialogue sometimes has a huge difference in the way these arguments are presented.
I'm all for off-site gambling. I think it should be as common as bank ATMs. In fact, let's convert those bank ATMs right into casino machines. If you win, wow, it just spits out cash. I mean, people would be so confused when they walk up to the ATM and actually get cash.
You see, Michael?
I won! Oh, you took 20 out of your account. Shut up and go home.
So...
Well, it's interesting because, we have all this discussion, and really where it starts from its core is irresponsible government. Because why did all these things pop up? Because they don't have enough money to pay the bills.
The bribe.
So we're going. People keep saying we're going to basically put another tax on the people, and we'll just disguise it as a casino. And you're right. I think just like we have Pennsylvania lottery in all different types of locations, why can't we have slot machines? Why is it excluded to just, like you said, the powerful and the influential? So these are things that, and I think probably a good part of that is simply because they can't control the taxation at that point. Now all of a sudden, people have these casinos, and now there's ways of the great entrepreneurs who find a way around paying the taxes. So I think it's really a control thing of if we open the casinos, we put certain rules on it. Those we decide that can play will be more than willing to pay the taxes on that. So I think there's lots of different reasons of why.
You're saying it's a pay-to-play.
Exactly.
Just wanted to clear that
right.
up. I read a Facebook post yesterday that made me think, and it said a fine is a tax for doing wrong, and a tax is a fine for doing right. Makes sense, right?
There you go. I mean, so Michael, I think by changing these dialogues, and we're going to talk about changing dialogues here a little bit, and certainly want to get in the Crom the Bus, even though that's a little old news, but it's not old news for us because we haven't really discussed anything that's happened in the news over the last couple of weeks here. So. But changing dialogues and how we talk. When we come back, I want to talk about we the people. Are we really we the people? How about nations of laws? Are we a nation of laws? And how do we change that dialogue, and how can we really make a change? You listen to 94.3 FM, The Talk of Sanity Check. We'll be back.
Mike, Libertarian Lou, Saturday mornings, 94.3 FM, The Talker.
Listen to a word I say. The screams all sound the same. For the truth may vary, this ship will carry out.
We're back. 94.3 FM, The Talker. Michael, you got to love Tom here. Tom Jenkins, our producer. I mean, he always comes up with just the right song for us to come back. Don't listen to a word we say, and quite frankly, that's probably wise.
I'm pretty sure no one ever does. Just look at the voting trends out there. They're certainly not listening.
You hear that, Michael? You see, he gets my blood pressure up. I need to be calling in the sanity check first thing in the morning just to get my blood pressure down sitting here with Mr. Sorick.
Well, Frank, you have your chance to influence. I understand, if I hear correctly, that the mayor is going to be of Wilkes-Barre is going to be running for mayor again. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure. I did hear he was running, but I think it's from the FBI.
It could be. So, Michael, let's get some people's blood pressure up. An X here to we the people. We the people. You ever hear that? Who
are these people?
Who are we the people? We can change our government. We just throw them out. They work for us.
They have to levitate their tuchuses off the couch.
Who believes that out there? Who actually? They work for us. We pay their paychecks. We the people. How often do we hear that? I'm here to say that we, the people, better start standing up and start doing some things, Michael. And one of them, my resolutions, and certainly resolutions, hopefully for the Independent Gazette and Muckraker and Sanity Check and some of the other avenues that we're working with, is that we the people need to be involved, way more involved than we are right now, Michael. And throwing this, I'm also going to kind of tie in the nation of laws. Are we really a nation of laws? I'm here to say that the laws are only out there for those who. Well, I guess us. I mean, the people
the
that
regular
are
people,
the regular
not
folks.
the elite people.
Right. I mean, we see it all the time, but we the people. Michael, one of the things that we're doing coming up in January 9th, we have a meeting with the heads of CYS, Children and Youth, Child Protective Services in Harrisburg. And I don't mind throwing this out there a little bit, but one of the things that I'm going to lay on them is, do they really want to get to the bottom of what's going on in these courts? I mean, Michael and X, one of the problems that we have here is that very often we hear one side of the story because we can't hear the other side of the story. It's in secrecy. I mean, try to go get these court records. Time and time again, we have information, or people say, listen, I just got it this week, Michael. Just this week, they got the transcripts and said, wait a minute, half the stuff is missing out of the transcripts. I don't know if that's true or not true. You don't know, and anybody out there don't know. We really don't know. All I could tell you is that after I hear it once, after I hear it twice, after I hear it 5 times, after I hear it 100 times, I'm saying, well, wait a minute, maybe there's something to this, right, Michael?
No, I agree. Of course, the old saying is, if a lie is repeated enough times, it becomes the truth. So, that's, once again, it's really hard to believe who's telling you the truth, Lou.
So here we have this meeting in January 9th in Harrisburg. I made some calls. I talked to some of our state representatives this past week and getting them involved. And certainly I'm going to get when I say me, we're going to get people involved in this process. But one of the things I'm going to ask the heads of CYS, CPS is, do they really want to get to the bottom of this? And I suspect they're going to say yes, correct? I mean, who's not going to say, oh, yes, if there's wrongdoing, we want to make sure that we find out. Frank is jumping in on here. Go ahead, Frank.
This is Pennsylvania. There's no wrongdoing.
Right. Okay. So but just in case we're
going to look at you like you're growing a second head when you say, do you want to get to the bottom of this? And it's the bottom of what?
Bottom
The
of
system
what?
works great.
So far so good, right, Michael? So
Yep.
we're going to. So what's going to happen is, after they say yes, I'm going to hand them a letter from us, from what we're going to call our Citizen Review Board, and we'll talk about who the Citizen Review Board is going to be made up of. We, the people. I have spoken to some business folks already, and I'm not going to identify people quite yet here, but it's important to say that I think it's people that are not connected to the system. And when I say connected, people that are just not working in the system. So anyway, I'm going to hand them a letter and say, listen, if you really want to get to the bottom of this, will you send this out to all the workers in Pennsylvania that work for CPS, Children and Youth, and if they have anything to say, good, bad, or indifferent, they could contact us with anonymity. They don't have to worry about the pressure of telling your boss. And I suspect they're going to say, well, no, they probably can't do this. It's probably going to have to go to Human Services. They're probably going to have all kinds of answers. But part of the Civilian Review Board was going to be other media. I'm going to look. As a matter of fact, I've already reached out to some. But once we have folks on board here to be a Citizen Review Board, they're going to get to see what we get to see. And I have some other reporters from other institutions. Hopefully, they get on board. But it's going to truly be we the people, Michael. And one of our resolutions here at the Independent Gazette is maybe we'll help lead the way. We're going to say, if it's truly an independent organization or report, we don't mind having other media, other reporters, and regular folk that are out there, we the people, that'll get to look at these individuals that have come forward to us. I want our business leaders. One guy I can talk about, and he said absolutely, Bob Butts. I want Bob Butts on our Civilian Review Board. He's a businessman. He's not connected. We all know his heart is in the right place. He's ethical. And talking about ethics, please remind me of that too, Michael. But I want people that are in business. I want people that are a part of our community to hear the stories that we hear. I want them to look eye to eye to a woman in Wilkes-Barre that said that she was told to either have an abortion or we're going to get your child one way or the other. We're not making these things up. I want those same doctors, the lawyers that are out there that come to us and look at people like Bob Butts and look at other people in the media and say, this is what's happened to me. I had to go for 140 drug and alcohol tests because Danielle Ross sent me there. You know, Michael and X, and certainly I want you guys to jump in on this, but are they any more ethical? You see, once again, changing the argument, guys, and this is what I want folks to hear out there, and our listeners and the people that are listening, start passing the word around. If you want to be, if you think that you want to be on the Civilian Review Board, let's do it, because it's we the people. You see, if we the people are taking control over our own destiny without having to rely on only our elected officials, then we the people have that power, and I don't think we do that enough. Michael, I'm going to jump in, but I want to get on the ethics here for a minute. Go ahead, guys.
Well, Lou, one of the things that we have to look at is not just even this case, but all cases in government, that we're so complacent and we accept, and there is that complacency for a reason, that we feel that we the people really don't have the power that the Constitution has allowed us.
Now,
because of the fact we have politicians who continue to ignore the Constitution.
And we have prosecutors that continue to ignore. But Frank and X, if we bring our people, we the people here, people that are part of the media, part of business, and all of a sudden they're hearing the same things. And Michael, you just hit on a really strong point. It's just not about CYS, CPS. It's about corruption in general. Mm-hmm. I've had a number of folks say, hey, listen, can we also do the medical community? Let's have a Civilian Review Board on the medical, because everybody is afraid to come forward. But changing the dialogue. I want to change this dialogue. Danielle Ross, convicted felon. Judge Conahan. Are they any more ethical than you, Michael? Are they any more ethical than Bob Butts, Melanie Madeira, Frank Sorick? Any more ethical than Lou Jasikoff or John D. Liberto?
How many ethics complaints were launched against these same people with the Ethics Review Board in Harrisburg prior to their arrest?
That's a whole issue right there. But Frank,
that department is not subject to Pennsylvania's right to know law, so we can't view them, and we can't say, "Hey, did anyone ever file a complaint against Danielle Ross or Judge Conahan or anybody who's now a convicted felon of public corruption?" Did anyone ever look to you people for help and you just ignored them? Because I filed a few and I've gotten responses that basically tell me where to go. And they, one letter was laughable when I read it, and it said that this person didn't, in our opinion, we don't feel they've done anything wrong because it was done by the other person. So I sent that letter and another complaint now against the other person. And I got a letter back saying pretty much the same thing in reverse. And these are my points, like how many people went through this. And they didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, you know what, Michael Conahan is no good and he's locking kids up. I mean, this was a process. People were shouting at the rain and no one was hearing them.
And tremendously so. So, Michael, going back to this whole ethical thing, you see, what happens and we've joked about it, and we've laughed about it, and we've cried about it, and we've gotten angry about it getting thrown out of the courtrooms. But let's go back to this ethical stuff. You're not allowed in there because we have to protect the children. Okay. So they're more ethical of protecting our children, our grandchildren, the Danielle Rosses, the Conahans, than you, Michael. You're not allowed to be in there. If there's rules and regulations and everybody's name that I just mentioned, I know darn well that if they know what the parameters are, we're not here to out any of the children. Okay? And if we do, we should be held accountable for that. But this whole notion that we're protecting the children, I am here to say to you folks out there that it's not about protecting the children. It's about protecting their behavior, what is going on. And we, the people, you folks out there right now, the people that are listening to us right now, it's we, the people. Don't talk about all this stuff. Oh, they work for us. If we don't, we the people. And that's why we want to be that catalyst, Michael. We're going to be that catalyst. We're going to reach out to the business people that are listening to us right now, and we're going to be pleading for their help. And also, Frank, and Michael, we talked about it, some of the other reporters that we trust and the other folks locally here that we can go to and say, hey, do you want to be part of this? And then when we look at this as a whole, then we put out a report in 3 or 4 months from now. Sure. Independent Gazette would like to be the guys breaking the stories. But at the end of the day, Michael, is that what we started this about? Is John D. Liberto working all these hours that we're doing, and me and people that are involved with all this stuff? Is this about breaking a story, or is this about getting to the truth? And if we have to be that catalyst, Frank, if we have to be the ones that say, wait a minute, we don't mind the other reporters. You want to take some of the accolades? Great for you. But we have a ton of folks, Michael. We have a ton of folks, and we're going to be pleading. We're helping. We're asking people out there, if we really want to be we the people, then let's be we the people. Right?
Well, and Lou, the thing is, those words, we the people, are strong.
It is.
Use them. But when we sit back and don't use it, and we turn a blind eye to the corruption, we turn the blind eye to the most vulnerable part of our culture, the children, it's really no longer the fact that we're using the Constitution in the way that has been presented to us to make sure that we have that power. But instead, we have politicians who have now completely forgotten the fact that, in fact, they do work for us. But when you go in there and you look at the culture, Lou, you know that. We've done it together. You're dismissed immediately, or like Frank stated, you get some bogus letter that's just something generated from a computer. Mm. And this is not the way our country was set up. And now we've got the corruption so deep, and they feel that they're so invincible, Lou, that there isn't anybody that's going to stand up for these children in this case. And I think you're right. I mean, I commend the fact that this is what you guys are going to do.
Yeah.
And really, once that spark starts, Lou, I think it really explodes. And this is what we shall see what happens in Pennsylvania. And I think some of our lawmakers are in for a wide awakening.
Yeah, and our next meeting is January 15th. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but we do need to take a break. When we come back, we could change topics. I definitely want to get on Crime the Bus a little bit here. We have to do that. You're listening to Sanity Check 94.3 FM The Talker.
94.3 FM The Talker.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. Some nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they just fall off. But I still wake up, I still see your gospel. Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know anymore.
We know what we're standing for right here at 94.3 FM The Talker. Sanity Check, Libertarian Lou, Tea Party Mike. We got X, we got Sorick, we got John D. We got everybody in studio today. But so Michael, X. Now, my X probably doesn't know all these players here. He probably knows most of them, but X, some of them are local. What does Bob Casey, Toomey, Schumer? How about Schumer? Schumer, Toomey, Schumer, Reed, Cornyn, Michael, down in Texas, and McConnell. What do they got in common? Now, let's go over that again. Casey, Toomey, Schumer. Is he liberal, Schumer? Schumer, Toomey?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Reed. Oh, is that Harry Reid? Harry Reid, Toomey. McConnell, Cornyn have in common. In case you guys don't know that, we'll give you, what do these guys have in common? Rand Paul, Tester. Remember Tester, Michael? We got to tell this quick story real quick. Tester is the senator from Montana. Michael, remember we were down in Washington, D.C. We're down in Washington, D.C., folks, and we had to pick somebody up. We were trying to find the train station. Remember, Michael? And we're driving around Washington, D.C., and I said, Mike, we better stop. We have to ask somebody. Maybe somebody knows, right? So this guy's walking down the street, right, Frank? Guy's walking down the street, and I roll down the window and say, hey, do you know? And I said, wait a minute. You Tester? He said, yeah, Tester. Right? So I get out and shake his hand. Tester's the senator, right? Michael, typical guy from Montana. You got to love this. And Mike, part of, now living out west, you have a little... He's eating a donut. He has something. He's eating something because part of it's on his shirt. Frank, I swear to God, the underside of the tie, he has a tie on. The short part of the tie is longer than the front part of the tie, right? I said, Tester. Just like a regular guy. He winds up being the senator. Remember that, Michael? But anyway.
The best description is Normie from Cheers.
You got to love it. But anyway, there's Rand Paul, Tester, Lee, Senator Lee from Utah, Sanders. That can't be Bernie Sanders, the communist. Wait a minute. Sanders, Cory Booker, and Ted Cruz have in common. What do these guys have in common? Let's go over that. Cruz, Booker, Sanders, Lee, Tester, and Paul have in common. Just like the same things Casey, Toomey, Schumer, Reed have in common. Well, of course, Toomey and Schumer and Reed, they voted for the Cromnibus bill. They're all part of the bus. They're all driving that bus. And then Rand Paul, Tester Lee, Cory Booker, Ted Cruz voted against it. How can this possibly be? We got to thank, we really do. We got to thank President Obama, right? And we have McConnell and who's the other guy there? Boehner. We have to thank them for bringing together liberals and conservatives. But that's it. But we have to thank them for something like that, right? I mean, when we look at this, can we break? We're going to play this one thing. X, I promise you. Let's just listen to what's his name? Jon Stewart had to say about the Cromnibus bill.
Budget cuts for the IRS and the Environmental Protection Agency.
This would do away with the ban on traditional incandescent light bulbs.
Stopping the District of Columbia from legalizing marijuana.
Wait, stopping people from smoking pot's a budget thing? I thought that was more of a girlfriend or boyfriend thing. Those last things sounded less like budget items and more like, I don't know, laws. What other not budgetary items are in this budget?
Farmers will not have to obtain methane emission permits.
Two kinds of birds can no longer be declared endangered.
Longer hours for truckers.
A federal program can now call white potatoes a fresh vegetable.
They put it in the budget now, you just can make up words. The Army can now call bullets injectable iron supplements. What does that have to do with the how did all that random stuff end up in the budget?
A lot of lawmakers use this opportunity, a must-pass bill, to slip in a lot of special interest provisions that they probably could not get passed on their own, and some of them came in right in the middle of the night when not a lot of people are looking.
What? They just wait until no one's looking and then slip this toxic stuff in?
There you go, Michael X. You see, not to worry, guys. We got Sweet Lou out there. Sweet Lou Barletta. He's going to be sitting at the table with Obama and Boehner to get our backsides there. But we'll get into that some other times. X, what do you think about all this stuff?
Well, it's just like NDAA provisions. You strip Americans' constitutional rights right under their nose by putting it into the National Defense Authorization Act. And this is pervasive within the system where basically people circumvent the law itself all the time.
How you like this, part of this thing, the new language is widely viewed as a gift to Wall Street and specifically Citigroup, whose lobbyists literally wrote the text of the measure. Can you believe Citigroup wrote the information in the in this new omnibus bill? But not to worry, we got Sweet Lou. He's going to be sitting down there, and of course all our representatives. Michael, we got every one of our representatives. Cartwright, we never hear from Cartwright. At least the other two guys at least come on and you can actually hear what they have to say, whether we agree or not agree with them. But I don't want to leave Cartwright out just because he doesn't open his mouth. He just sits down there and does what he wants to do down there. But I mean, it's really amazing, X. I mean, you got Citigroup writing this stuff, and it's mind-boggling to me. Totally mind-boggling.
It sounds like we the people, huh, Lou?
We the people, man. We the people. We're all good.
And these are the things that are so frustrating to me, Lou, because, you look at the sides, and, you mentioned John Cornyn, who's the senator here from Texas, and you know which way he's going to go. It's whichever way the establishment goes. And I'm so tired of the establishment, Lou, and the Republican. The Democrats, I expect. I know what they're about. I know what they're going to do. But then you have the Boehners of the world screaming once again how they're basically going to hold Obama's feet to the fire, and they fold again. And this is why, Lou, we're looking at people wanting independent, political groups, because they are tired of the lies from particularly, I believe, from me personally, from the Republican Party, Lou. And this is what really starts things like the Independent Gazette growing. Because people want to hear the truth.
OpenSecrets.org on the Republican side, Citigroup has similarly courted top House leadership with a $30,000 contribution to the National Republican Congressional Committee and donations to both the campaigns and leadership PACs of House Speaker John Boehner and Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. But it goes on. I mean, I would encourage folks to go to OpenSecrets.org. Look at the amount of money that has been put into these campaigns. I mean, think about it. And then they say, Michael, this is what gets me. Oh, you have to have so much amount of money to be part of the debates. How you like that, X? You have to have so much money in the bank account. So let's do this. So to be part of the debates, you got to sell your soul to Citigroup. Financial, insurance, real estate as a sector is by far the largest source of campaign contributions. $435.9 million in the 2014 cycle. Within the sector, commercial banks are responsible for $25.6 million. Citigroup's careful courting of Democrats and Republicans and top leaders on both sides is an aberration. The split of money between the two sides by Citibank, 59% for Republicans and 41% for Democrats. That's it, guys. You're being sold down the river. But not to worry, Sweet Lou will be sitting at the table watching us. Not to worry at all. We got our congressional we got Casey. We got Casey now. Don't worry, guys. Casey will be watching our backs. How do you like all this stuff? Is your blood pressure going up yet? You don't have time to call in to blow it off.
Well, Louis, you talk about Barletta, and during his first campaign, I had an event at the House for him and things, and this man looked in your eyes and was like, this is the real guy. This is who is going to represent the people. This is the folks that are going to go down to Washington, and no matter what, he's not going to change his mind of what the establishment is telling him to do. This is the man who's going to sit there, and he knows what our needs are and what our wants are, and he's going to defend those. Yeah, bullcrap.
Yeah.
This guy's nothing. He's done nothing.
Yeah.
From his promises that he's made.
He'll be smiling the pearly whites at the table there with Boehner and Obama, but not to worry.
Yeah.
Not to worry, guys. I'll tell you, man. It's unbelievable, guys, and I would encourage you to go to opensecrets.org. Michael, that's a site that I've been certainly looking at. It has to go on 20, 25 years now. I mean, back when I was working with Senator Max Baucus, if you remember Senator Max Baucus, who was the architect for Obamacare. He's in Montana, good hardcore conservative. No, he wasn't really conservative. But I think he works in China now. I think he got a promotion there. He bailed out, but not to worry about old Max. Max is doing just well. But, once again, when I was working with him, we were looking at opensecrets.org. I'm sure he tried to show me some stuff that wasn't, very well. How does the best say to do it? Commentary to Republicans, but old Senator Max Baucus is doing well, I'm sure. So, but I would encourage folks to go to opensecrets.org. Follow the money, Michael. That's it, right? I mean, you know that, Michael. We're down to it, Michael. I can't believe it went so fast. I was having a blast here today, but we're down to the last 20 seconds here, Michael, and we'll be back next week, 2015. Sanity check.
Absolutely all. God bless all.
God bless everybody. See you next week.